Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. This is the Branson View, a show that celebrates true stories of life and business from America's heartland. Join us each week in the pursuit of freedom, truth, and courage that inspires us to take action. Let's get started. Well, hello from Branson, Missouri. Thank you so much for joining us today. Also looking forward to our first snowstorm of the season. So we're super excited about that, as you can imagine, if it snows where you are. Lots of activity going on, lots of people preparing. And so we're just excited to be on the call today. We have Coach Bailey and Zachlina Bailey, and also we have Miss Charlotte Watts. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you guys all being here. One of our last sessions, Coach Bailey wanted to go first on this episode of the Branson View. So, Coach Bailey,
I am here.
What do you think?
Here. That's a great idea. And not about raising my hand and wanting to go first. It's having to follow you and Miss Zachlina Bailey and Miss Charlotte Watts. When y'all finished up, I got nothing left. You take it all because you all are so powerful.
I know Jackie was saying that you were writing down your notes, and then all of a sudden you were just like, scratch that one, scratch that one, scratch that one.
I had a full page.
Let's not do that to you today.
Let me get my 2 cents in the beginning. You guys can have the rest.
I hear you. Well, the burning question, and this has really been a character trait that people are really talking about, because as a human being, we all want to be heard. And so the question is, do you actually think that listening is important in business, friendship, and family?
Well, absolutely. What people think that they actually are doing with listening, it is so important. It is critical in relationships, whether it's personal, business, or whatever it is. My apologies for a little bit of background noise here, but...
Well, you know what's crazy? There is background noise. I am purposefully and intently
listening. Very nice. Well, the funny part about listening is 9 times out of 10, an average person is thinking about what they're going to be saying and replying rather than actively listening.
Right.
I learned that
Absolutely.
25 years ago at a workshop that I went to, and I actually spent several thousands of dollars to go to this workshop, and the whole workshop was on listening. People don't listen. And I was the first one there that was not listening very well, because literally it's like they were giving us all these different tests, and I completely failed every single time because I wasn't catching the message that they were trying to get me to listen to. So I was thinking about all the other distractions, but there's so many distractions. Listening is so critical, absolutely critical to every personal relationship, to your kids, to your wife, to your significant other, in business, to your business partners, everything. I mean, there's nothing more important than listening.
Well said. That is so very true. And, like you were talking about going to seminars, they're like, full day, week long, different training and coaching based around the art of listening, because it is really an art. And, the Bible talks about being quick to hear in James 1:19, being quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And I know that a lot of times when we are, so busy and distracted, and we've got so many cares of the world and stresses on our heart, we do have to really work at paying attention and listening to what's being said, because, with busy brains, it does make it a little bit more challenging to take a listen. What do you think, Miss Charlotte?
I say, listening is probably one of the hardest skills we have to learn. And I always heard we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, but somehow that 1 mouth seems to override our 2 ears more times than not. And I think one of the things, I know I'm guilty of it, I have to work at it. If I have somebody that's asking me a question, I assume I know the answer before they get to the end of the question. And if I'm not careful, I have to just kind of hold my lips shut because that may not be the final question. It may be leading up to what they actually want to know. So I think
Mm-hmm.
active listening to me, and what I have to do, I'm just going to, I always have things going on around me one way or the other, is I've learned to shut my eyes and focus out I don't see anything, because that is a distraction. If I see something that needs to be picked up on the other side of the room, my mind's going to that instead of what I'm listening to. So I have to literally shut my eyes so I have better hearing, if that makes sense. So active listening
Mm-hmm.
to me means I really have to be focused in on that person, because otherwise I can't build a strong relationship with them. It's kind of like my opinion is always there, but my opinion doesn't matter if I don't have a relationship.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's wonderfully said as well. Miss Jackie, I know that in your profession, listening and taking an inventory of what people are needing in their life is really important. Can you tell us what listening means to you?
Absolutely, Miss. Thank you so much. So, thank you. So I just had to walk away just for me to listen, or for me to share anything that's worked for me in over the years. I had to pay attention. So Steve's got the kiddos. But yeah, what I would say, Tammy, like for in our business, it's being in the sales and relationship building. Sometimes we are listening. We feel that in order to impress someone or to make them like us, sometimes we talk too much. We talk people out of it. I find that if you really want to build a relationship and get someone to like you, the last thing you got to do is talk about yourself. The best thing to do is listen to what they have to say. And if you really want to get good at communicating and listening, learn how to ask good questions. Asking great questions would lead you to listening to the answers that you're interested in listening to. I think sometimes people don't listen because they're bored. It's a topic they're not really interested in. It's something that just doesn't, they just have ADD. It's our world today. We all have ADD with these beautiful technology, cell phones, and just everything that's around us with social media and stuff. So listening, it's easier to listen if you learn to ask the right questions. So if someone's sharing their life with you and you just take a deep breath and just put yourself in the picture with them, if you're bored of the topic that they're bringing up, learn to ask great questions that you can learn from it. If it's, you can guide the conversation, you can guide the listening of what you want to listen to by asking the right questions. So I think that's the best form. Communication, that's the key to communication. Instead of trying to telling somebody all about your life story, about how amazing you are and how incredible the experiences you had and the things that you have, and people that you've met, learn about the people that they've met, learn about what's important to them. And by asking the right questions and what we call in our business first, second, and third level questions, it gives you something really interesting to listen to. So if you really want to get good at listening, learn to ask the right questions. This is the best advice that I've learned from mentors in our life.
Hey, Miss Tammy, can I jump right in there and add something? Because I thought of something. I don't want to forget
Yes,
it.
please do.
My wife and I always talk about it as you're talking to people. Here's it summed down in one sentence. Be interested, not interesting. Interested in them, not have them be interested in you. So if you're more interested in them, you'll be able to listen better rather than trying to get them to be interested in you. I think that's how I say it. I believe, Miss Bailey. Is that how we say it? How do we say that?
Totally agree with that one. Thanks. Thank you, honey, for mentioning that. And that's absolutely right, because that's so important, is just being interested in what somebody has going on and what they have to say. The more they talk about themselves, the more they're going to like you. And that's just the bottom line. So if you practice your listening skills and you want to build great relationships, listen to what they have to say. They're sharing their heart. And if you are listening, eye contact is important. Nodding your head, agreeing, repeating what they're saying, understanding. It's showing that you are actively listening. So if you're listening, but yet you're bored and you're looking elsewhere, you're not paying attention to the person, I really think communication is key, of looking right straight in the eye and following up with second, third level questions, which is kind of like, My favorite place to travel to is Hawaii. Oh, really? Why is Hawaii your favorite place? What part of Hawaii do you like? Learn to ask questions. When you do go, who do you like to go with? How long do you like to go? What's your favorite part? If you were to go back again, would you do it again? Or whatever the topic is. Someone's talking about their products and their business. Exact same thing. Ask questions. How'd you learn about that product? How did it make you feel? Is this something that if you didn't have that product, how would you feel if you didn't have it anymore? Asking questions is so key, and being interested in what they have to say rather than jumping the gun to talk about how that product affected you or whatever the story is and trying to put yourself in a picture. Let that moment be about them and just listen, smile. And the more you smile and the less you say, we call it a pregnant pause, the less you say, the more they will share. So just smile and hear what they have to say. It would help your communication. And that's a great way of building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that helps, Tammy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, as you were speaking, I was thinking about, another question, so that I could learn more about what you were saying. And I'm looking at my list, Jackie, and you're answering like in sequence, all the questions. And I was like, wow, that's really cool, because the next question was, how do you listen? And by you saying you listen by asking questions. And by asking questions, it helps you to learn more about that person and, how they feel in the situation. And so, and you're doing that. You answered the question.
See why I wanted to go first, Tammy? Coach Bailey, I had to get in there and get my 2 cents. If I don't get in early, you guys steal all the thunder. Right back at you. So you know. I said my piece. Woohoo!
But no, it's absolutely true though, Tammy, because everything you're sharing right there, I mean, we are all on the same page. People don't care how much you know about whatever is going on until they know how much you care. And the best way to show them that you care is by listening and listening to what they have to share. So it's, communication. That's, if you really look back at anybody's issues in life, any relationship they have struggles with, any career that they might have struggles with, a lot of times communication is the key problem in whatever is going on in their life. And they just need to sit back and just kind of rethink on how to build better relationships. And relationships are the key to success in everything, in marriage and friendship and work and everything in life. I feel it's the number one thing.
Absolutely.
I love this topic, by the way. I love that we're talking about this today.
So wonderful. And, bringing back into Miss Charlotte, what she said too is, she closes her eyes. And I do that too, Miss Charlotte. And, I read a study that said exactly what Steve and Jackie and Charlotte are saying. When you actively listen with your heart to someone, like you said, sharing their story, it literally builds their self-confidence. And if that self-confidence is built in your presence, like you said, Charlotte, like you said, Jackie, like you said, Steve, then they are naturally going to trust you. They're naturally going to want to spend time with you and get to know you more because of the way that you have made them feel. And so in that moment, listening is the critical factor of how that relationship is built. And, I read in Proverbs 4:20, it talks about, my son, listen to my words. It said, if you listen to my words, health and life are in the wisdom of listening. And I just found that scripture to be so profound. And if we understood the power of the art of listening, it actually brings health and healing for the people who are being heard, and also, the people who are learning more about that other person. So it's really interesting how all that works together. So yeah, I love this topic too.
I love what everybody has said, and it's so right on. And we do use this in our business. We use listening skills, and then we try to direct the questions, maybe to get them more focused on what we want them to focus on, or maybe to get to the close. As a salesperson, that's our final goal, is to get the money, get all the money, as they say. But I think as an active listener, even if we're directing them the way that we kind of want, with the questions to get to that final answer, I think we have to take notes. To me, active listening means I've taken notes, because even though I'm listening to what's important to them, have I really taken the time to care about them? Okay, they're telling me what they like to do, maybe what's important as a family, maybe what's important overall around in business, but what about them? Have I asked questions to find out where their heart is, what they need to focus on, or what they really truly care about personally? Because if I've got that personal connection, that personal note, then whenever I talk to them again the next time, before I even go anywhere else, I can say, hey, tell me about this. I know this was a concern to you. May not be about anything that we were actually talking about, whether it was for business or whether it was for whatever. But the fact that you care about them as a person, and they know that you listened enough to know that you care, that you remember what they said in that conversation. It just may be something that came up in the conversation that really clicked with you, that, wait a minute, this is something on a more personal note. Just remembering and just showing that, that you were listening means everything, because once you do that, then they are going to open up and share more. And wisdom doesn't come from me telling you everything I know. Wisdom is going to come from me hearing what you have to say and taking that to my heart. And if you need, whatever it is that I need to take, maybe a little bit deeper, or maybe I need to consider that the next time. And I think especially in personal relationships, we are bad. Once we've been together for a few years, we automatically assume we know what the other person's saying before they even finish the sentence. And a lot of times, I just have to stop myself and say, wait a minute, what you're saying is important. I have to listen to you rather than jumping the gun and assuming this is where you want to go or what you're saying. And sometimes I have to stop my husband. I mean, I'll start to say something. He'll finish the sentence for me or tell me what he thinks I'm going to say. And I just sit there and I'll say, okay, now that you have figured out what I'm supposed to say, could I tell you what I wanted to say?
Oh boy. Here you go on the bench.
We don't listen. I mean, we think we do, but do we really? And I know I'm guilty of that, the same as he is at times.
Well, Charlotte, you brought up a good point. I'm sorry, Tammy, Coach Bailey jumping in here. I'm on this call here with three super amazing, powerful women, and I will be in agreement with you. Typically, the men have much worse listening skills than the women, as well as communication skills as well. So, I mean, I'm gonna confess and tell you that straight out that, ladies, if you're listening to this podcast, get your husbands to listen to this, because they'll become better listeners when you hear, some of the secrets of trying to learn how to communicate better with your spouse, kids, and everyone out there. And Charlotte, so well said. I catch myself all the time cutting my wife off before she's done speaking and going, oh, yeah, okay, we can do this. And it's like, oops, ruh-roh. So take that pause, let them finish the sentence, and then maybe even, that pregnant pause that my wife was talking about earlier, Mrs. Bailey, and then respond. Catch what they're saying, internalize it, and then respond. So, sorry, I threw 2 more cents in there. Back to you, Tammy.
Oh, no, this is a group effort. I love it. Yeah, when you have something to say, just jump on in.
Yeah, I think when we feel like we're being interrupted, or when we feel like somebody's cutting in or assuming what they think we're going to say, the tone of voice totally changes. I mean, you lose that. Mm-hmm. You lose that care and compassion voice to a listen to what I say, do as I do, kind of a commanding voice. And I think that's another reason it's so important to slow down, regardless of how we're approaching whatever it is. I think if we take that minute to kind of slow down and think it through and really hear what the other person said, our response is going to be a totally different tone of voice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Charlotte, our tones are like the address of our heart. They definitely, I mean, I didn't realize this for a long time, what you just said to be true, because I had a lot of pride in my life. And I think that pride closes our ears and our heart, because when we think we know something, pride rises up. And I remember I was going to share just a quick story. I didn't know what a terrible listener I was until my son, as an adult, shared with me. He was like, "Mom, you were there, but you were never there." He was like, "You were always thinking about something else. You weren't present. You were, a great mom, but I didn't feel like you took the time to listen to what I was really saying. You just listened to give me instructions." And, I think about our relationship with God, and I think about how the art of listening is definitely a foundation for prayer. A lot of us seek the Lord, and we come with our list of things that we want from Him, and things that He, please bless us, Lord, and keep us safe. And those are beautiful prayers. But there is another side to prayer where we are listening. We are listening to the Father for instructions. And if we're setting goals and we're listening to God in that prayer time, then we're actually going to be following instructions.
All hope to age gracefully so we can enjoy our later years full of energy, vitality, and good health. But so often, with age, our bodies start to show signs that things just aren't as they used to be. Our energy, skin, healing and recovery time, sleep, it all just seems to go downhill. Unless you're using LifeWave. Since 2004, LifeWave has been delivering its amazing life-enhancing technology to people across the world, always helping the body do what it was designed to do, only better. And as it turns out, the best was yet to come. David Schmidt, our founder, creative force, and world-class inventor behind LifeWave technology, has recently achieved something in the field of regenerative science with a single LifeWave patch that researchers worldwide, spending years and billions of dollars, could not. Introducing LifeWave X39, the world's first product ever to activate stem cells. A true breakthrough in regenerative science that helps restore our bodies to a healthier, more youthful state in a way no other product can. The secret? By harnessing the power of LifeWave's patented phototherapy, X39 uses light to elevate a peptide proven to signal the activation of stem cells. Think about it. These are the cells that generate and regenerate all the cells and structures of the human body. They're the building blocks for our organs, tissues, blood, and immune system. They also serve as an internal repair system everywhere. But as we age, stem cells become less effective. Their ability to repair damaged tissue is reduced. In fact, by age 60, they've slowed dramatically. But all that changes when just one LifeWave X39 patch is placed anywhere on the body each day. Instead of older and less effective stem cells, X39 supports the production of younger and healthier stem cells. This amazing level of control over your vitality and well-being was simply not possible, let alone this easy, until now. And the best part? Like all LifeWave patches, X39 is safe, non-invasive, and incredibly cost-effective. Look what people are saying about LifeWave X39. Backed by clinical studies, multiple patents, and 20 years of development, any one of these benefits would be impressive. But X39 is so effective, it can influence everything about your body, how you look, feel, perform, and heal. It's time you experience the power of X39. Live long, live well, live younger. Experience the power of LifeWave today.
Listening is just so powerful. And Jackie and Steve and Miss Charlotte, you guys are really talking about the motive of listening. As we're listening, what is our heart motive? Is our heart motive just to reply or respond to what the other person is saying? Is our motive to, like you said, Charlotte, is it to, get to the end that we desire? Or, is our motive to actually learn about the other person's point of view and learn, what they have going on. And then, like you were talking about, Jackie, just asking those second and third degree questions so that we take the relationship and the conversation and the communication to a deeper level. What do you guys think?
What I would say, like, I feel sometimes people don't listen. Some people are intimidated to talk to people. And I think that's like the biggest challenge as well in business and life and relationships. Like I kind of look back and I see, Tammy, when you enter a room, as Charlotte enters a room, I can see why you're both so successful at what you do. Because you guys have great communication skills, like your body language. You look interested, you look happy, you look joyful. You smile when people speak to you. It's encouraging to want to talk to you. So when you enter into a room, are you going to go towards the person that's smiling at you, or are you going to go to the person that looks timid and scared? And I feel like learning communication of listening has helped you guys to walk into a room with all the confidence that you have, just because you have learned the skills of communication. Some of the techniques that I've learned for communication that's kind of helped me out, and this is something for anybody listening in, I don't know, maybe this might help with business and personal relationships. But if you don't know what to talk about, sometimes that's the hardest thing, because you walk up to someone and there's no agenda. And sometimes it's an overwhelming conversation that it's hard to listen to because there's no guidance, no direction. And if you're just trying to build a friendship, ask questions like a friendship. If you're building a business sale, ask questions towards that, whatever it is that you both are hoping to achieve from it. But just some techniques I've learned is form. And that's when you're meeting someone, these are the 4 things you can bring up, easy to talk about with anybody. And, after this call and after this podcast, try it. Application is key to learning, developing, and growing as a person. So form, family, occupation, recreation, motivation. Those are great questions. That's a good guideline. Form. So how's your family? Who's in your family? Tell me about your family. Are you married? Do you have children? That's a great conversation to get to know someone. Occupation. What do you do for a living? How long have you been doing that? And you can build question after question to listen. Stop and listen. Recreation. What do you like to do for fun when you're not working? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? Motivation. What motivates you in life? What motivates you to wake up in the morning? What gets you excited? What do you want to do when you retire? Are you retired? There's so many great questions that you can ask that 2 ears, 1 mouth. Your 2 ears will have so much to listen to with what they have to share. 1 mouth question. So form is a really good technique to use when getting to know people and practicing your listening skills. So it's really helped me out in meeting people and building relationships. And, just like I was saying, you guys smile. Your body language is so intriguing and inviting. And it's fun to talk to you guys because you can really tell you're interested and you're happy to talk to the person. So that's really helped out with our communication. What do you guys say?
Well, I'll chime in real quick if I may. I've been listening very emphatically here today, and I learned that you're supposed to close your eyes. So I've brought a quick analogy to me here. Definitely, if you're listening while driving, don't close your eyes. So take that part.
Right.
So that's important. The other thing is when you're talking to someone, literally, and you feel like they're not listening, you can have this subconscious thought in your mind and have them, or you can say it to them, I need you to look at me with both ears. Use that on the kids. Use that on some folks you want to have some fun with. Because at the end of the day, what do you mean look at me with both ears? That means you're not listening. Hello. So hopefully you can keep that in mind as we're trying to learn to listen better. So I'm going to start looking at everyone that I'm listening to with both ears open and my eyes shut as long as I'm not driving. So Tammy, back to you. Thanks for letting me share.
Amen, Coach Bailey. That's awesome. And you know what else? So the contrary is true. We are saying that whenever we're listening, we are building deep relationships and we're, adding value and we're, invoking all of this confidence and trust. And, the opposite's true. When we are not listening, we are saying to the other person, I am more important than you. And that is really a very quick way to, really damage the relationship, whether it be in business or family or, just, friendships. I mean, not listening to somebody, if we want to look at it from the contrary, really does not make you want to spend time with that person. But the active listening, I read an article where it talked about the benefits of active listening, which we've talked about, throughout our session today. But it really, when you listen to a person, it does build trust. It deepens the relationship. It actually can help you resolve a conflict. And it is really important to listen to that person, as all three of you have said, because it prevents you from missing important information. And, it also enables you, as that person is talking, to maybe identify or anticipate problems, and come up with solutions. And then also, our active listening helps us to definitely build more knowledge and empowers us as a leader.
I agree with everything you said there. And, whenever you were talking, it made me think about how many conflicts in life we could avoid if we just listened to the other person's side and listened instead of having an opinion. We listened to hear their heart, see where they're coming from. Because I think so many times we listen just to form, we listen and give an opinion without listening to their heart. And I think that is, in today's world, I think that's one of the biggest problems we have, is nobody's actually listening to anybody. They listen to create an argument or a fight.
Right. We're listening with our own filters or our own judgment. And as hard as it is to listen, having our own filters and our own judgments and answers and everything else. I think I saw a video the other day. Simon Sinek was talking about how we could literally create world peace in some of these negotiations with other countries, and and the political arena and the social environment that we live in that's so diversified, if we just listened without our own prejudice or our own judgment or our own filters. And I think that's so important, that we do learn to listen with the compassion and grace. Even Jesus, during his earthly ministry, he listened. When people would approach him, even children, he listened. And so one of the questions I had to pose, this is the last question I'll pose to our group today, is what or who is the standard of how we listen and respond to people?
I think my standard has to go back to where my faith is. And, I think that Jesus was great at being an active listener and then putting it in perspective by talking in parables so people could actually understand what he was saying. And, one of the things that came to mind when you said that was when he took the disciples and went up on the mountain, and, they saw Moses, and they had a chance to actually hear God's voice. And instead of listening, one of them immediately was like, we need to build tents. We need to do this. We need to do that. Yeah.
I think it was that Peter.
And, we listened like Peter did. Okay. We listened instead of listening to the message. Or, the same thing whenever he was teaching and Mary and Martha got so upset. One's upset because she's not getting help in the kitchen. The other one's like, I don't care. I'm going to sit at his feet and listen. We don't listen. And that, I think there's so many examples of that. So whenever I think about how do I listen, I go back to those scriptures and I remind myself of what's important.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was well said. Thank you so much.
I'm going to chime in quick before she jumps in, but yes, right in line with what Charlotte said. It's been such a blessing here this last several years to be able to attend church with the kids and hear our pastor and learn more, about the scripture and what it all says about everything. So just surround yourself with the right people that can help influence. You got to watch what comes into your mind and what you listen to, very important. So your views are where you feel those are important to be, which would be, through the scripture, through your faith, through the Bible and everything. So absolutely right on track. And I love the parables. So I'm going to keep my eyes shut and ears open. Thank you. Back to you, Miss Bailey.
I love what everyone's sharing too, Tammy. I mean, I'm all in with what Miss Charlotte is saying, and Coach Bailey there, and what you're sharing too. I mean, you just you can't compromise how you feel in your heart for what you're listening to. So just whatever somebody does want to talk about, if you don't agree with it, don't take it personal. And that's where it's just out of respect. Like, I understand where you're coming from. Okay, I know how you feel. I know a lot of people felt the same way. Everyone thinks different. This is how I feel. This is where listening and communication, you can butt heads, and it can be challenging communication if you don't agree with the same topic of what anyone's talking about. But we're all on the same page. I mean, we are so strong in our faith, and our thought process is guided in direction of sharing the word. So sometimes it could be hard to listen to conversations that doesn't align with our life goals and our spiritual beliefs. But I think, just be true to yourself, and just that's a good part of listening. If you don't agree with what you're listening to, then just be strong in how you feel about it without being insensitive to the other person, whatever they have to share. But asking great questions guides the conversation as well. So in a way that it can be complementary to both parties, I feel. So, but I totally agree. I love what Miss Charlotte shared with that on her faith and spiritual connection. That's definitely how we feel as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, Miss Tammy, one last thing that I want to add. We've been talking a lot about listening too, but it's very important sometimes to make sure that you're not listening to the wrong information. So be aware of the wrong radio station playing in your mind, or the wrong conversation that you're listening to. I mean, you can listen, but it doesn't always have to be, super attentive listening. If that information is something that you don't feel is in line with your beliefs, right? So somewhat of selective listening sometimes might be necessary. Or just be aware of what you're letting get into your precious mind, because sometimes listening intentively like that to the wrong information could be very dangerous. So you want to be listening to, the right source, like you're mentioning. Very, very important to make sure you're listening to the right things, because whatever comes in your ears goes in your mind, and sometimes creates action. So you want to be on point to make sure you have that knowing the right and the wrong of what to be listening to. So that's my personal opinion for what it's worth. But back to you.
I love that, Coach Bailey. I mean, that is an awesome, powerful, powerful message. So thank you.
My pleasure. I like to get my 2 cents in before you guys say everything. So again, thank you for letting me be a part of it.
So good.
That reminds me of a scripture that says, faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So absolutely, it definitely shapes who you are as to what you're listening to. And so thank you so much for bringing up that critical point too, Coach Bailey.
Yeah, Steve and I always talk about the power of the subconscious mind, and what you put in your subconscious mind is going to react into your real life every day. So it's just like all your behaviors will be a reflection of your subconscious mind, and what you feed your subconscious mind is so important. So that listening is, I love this conversation. I love this topic because there's so many areas of this conversation. It can go in so many different directions, but just being true to yourself, like Miss Charlotte said, and Tammy, like you said, it's amazing. This is a really good topic. I'm excited for the next ones, guys. I want to know what the next ones are. These are beautiful topics to share with everyone.
Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. And God bless you, and have a great week. And we will be back here next week. And thank you all for joining us.
You've been listening to The Branson View, a weekly podcast dedicated to sharing stories about real life and business from America's heartland. Thank you for joining us today. For more information about our sponsors and how to connect to us online, go to www.thebransonview.com. This episode of the Branson View podcast has been sponsored by an independent LifeWave distributor.
Statements on LifeWave products on this podcast, website, or associated materials have not been evaluated by any regulatory authority. LifeWave products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition. Always consult with a physician or other qualified healthcare provider before embarking on a new treatment, product use, diet, or fitness program.